Welcome to the Panic Button, everyone. I'm Nina. Today, we're going to be reacting to this very strange conversation. Yes, it's a real conversation. And here we go.
Are you aware of the leading cause of death for pregnant people in the United States?
Women, moms.
Whatever terminology you want to use.
I just don't understand what pregnant people is referring to. Are we talking about women? Pregnant women?
People who are pregnant.
I mean, you're a board certified physician, and you're telling me men can get pregnant in the United States today.
People who are people who are born biologically female, have a uterus, but recognize that through society, they identify as male through gender norms. They are able to get pregnant, even though externally they may present themselves.
I'm just confused here. The same group that says that gender is a social construct and the norms are racist or transphobic or homophobic are the same ones who are adhering to the gender norms. They say stuff like this: girls don't always like pink. Girls don't always like dolls. Girls don't always like dresses. But if a dude says he's a chick, he will wear a pink dress and call himself a doll. Okay, so you're just playing pretend. Or is this just your idea of what girls are? So in your head, girls do like dolls. They want to be a doll. They like pink and they like dresses, even though you say that not all girls do. But in your head, they do, or else you wouldn't be performing is what your idea of girl is, which is calling yourself a doll and wearing a pink dress. So it's very hypocritical, their ideology and the way that they present and just go about things. It's so contradictory and so hypocritical. It's like I don't even understand how people can perform taking them seriously. Because I don't believe that people who even call themselves allies, they actually believe it, because in practice they flip. But they'll say that they believe it while at the same time being actively discriminatory towards their own biological sex and what they stand for, if you know what I mean. Because they'll say, we're pro women's rights. Okay, you're pro women's rights, but what's a woman to you? And then they'll say anyone who says they're a woman. Okay, so you're pro anyone who says they're a woman's rights. And they'll say, right. And it'll be like, okay, well, there's all different types of women, according to you, especially ones with penises. So how do we go about protecting women's rights when, let's say, women in prison are being R-worded by men who say they're women? Who's in the right? Are we pro the man who says he's a woman and his right to assault the biological woman? Like, whose rights are you on the side of at that point? And then they have to make a decision. This is the problem that I have with the left, is their beliefs are going to come head to head with each other. You can't be pro women's rights and also pro trans privileges. Trans rights are human rights. I don't have the right to just go into a place that I identify into. If I identify as a surgeon, I can't perform surgeries on people. There's just certain things about the left that just don't make any sense, like religious rights. They believe in the religious freedoms of Muslims, but the beliefs that Muslims have come in direct conflict with the quote-unquote rights of trans individuals. So, as people say, how do you circle that square? When they come to conflict with each other, whose side are you on? You would have to make a choice at that point. I think they're going to drop the trans for the Muslims, if we're being honest. So when it comes down to it, I think the left are just using trans as a meal ticket to get more votes and to look more virtuous and better than, and like high and mighty, like I'm a really good person, vote for me. But they're not really, they're just lying. I mean, all politicians lie, some more than others. And the hypocrisy is endless. Anyway, let's finish this video.
Themselves as a man.
So females.
Yeah. Females and women. So again, this is a semantic argument.
I don't think it is, because honestly, we're watching the biological conversation of...
But this is the problem, is the woman who is saying this is a semantic argument is the one who's creating the semantic argument by not just identifying reality. You're like going the long way around in order to to toe a line and not offend certain people, but by doing that, you're making things more confusing in the conversation. So you can't continue the conversation unless we understand what you're talking about. And if you're using specific language that's in direct conflict with reality, you're going the long way and you're making things just way more difficult. You're making conversation almost impossible because you're afraid of offending 0.1% of the population. And I just think that's retarded.
This twist and turn every single day. In fact, I get asked when I speak to kids groups all the time by little boys if they are one day going to grow up and get pregnant.
I think that's
in their sex ed classes. It does.
system.
And you know who is writing most of the sex ed curriculum? The vast majority of it in America today is Planned Parenthood. What has always been looked at, as we just said a few minutes ago, as this empowering, fulfilling, beautiful experience of motherhood, all of a sudden is attempting to strategically remove women from the process. It's why in clinical medical settings today, they often don't refer to mothers as mothers. They refer to them as birthing people. Breastfeeding is being relabeled as chest feeding, which doesn't just incorporate individuals who were born biologically female but identify as males, but instead, as you might be familiar, we are inducing lactation in biological men who otherwise do not have the capacity to ordinarily lactate, to feed their child. I don't know what we would call that. It's certainly not breast milk, but some sort of secretion. So I don't think this is semantics at all. I think we're removing strategically women from the process by engaging in what we like to call inclusive language, but in reality is just a lie. I don't know. I have a hard time believing a society who can't define what a woman is actually interested in including women.
I never understood the thing about the chest feeding, breastfeeding thing, because if you think about it for a few seconds, like some men have boobs. They have that condition. And some men who say they're women, they have those boobs. And other ones, they get breast implants. But they're boobs nonetheless. They're quote unquote breasts. So why would you want to say chest? Would you say that not in order to not offend women who say they're men? But if they are feeding a baby with their boobs, they are boobs, they are breasts. So it's not just like the chest you would assume is like a Ken doll chest. You have the pectoralis major and minor, and that whole area. So you're not saying like we're peck feeding because there are boobs there. You need the boobs, and you're taking the boobs out of the equation, and the boobs are the most important part of breastfeeding. So by taking it out, you're feeding them your pectoralis major muscle, the skin off your chest. Boobs are the main thing. So by taking it out, you're not making any sense. The words you're using aren't making sense with the actual action that is taking place, which is a boob feeding a baby. Wouldn't that also, chest feeding, wouldn't that be also offensive to trans women? Because if you're saying this trans woman is chest feeding a baby, wouldn't that be offensive? Because women have breasts. So you're saying that the trans woman has a male chest and they're using their male chest to chest feed instead of their woman breasts, right? So you're actually being offensive to not just women by saying chest feeding, but also to quote unquote trans women, to make the argument. Anyway, this was crazy. I don't understand. I mean, clickbait, right? The people who are conservatives, they have people who are more woke on in order to get clickbait. But I could not even attempt to have a conversation with someone who thinks this way, especially someone who is a doctor. And you wonder, does this doctor actually believe this? Or are they just saying it in order to be politically correct? Probably just saying it to be politically correct. But you would give a lot of your patients, unless they're woke, pause on if you're actually a good doctor, if you believe things that are radically untrue. That would make me concerned about my doctor. I mean, now you just have, as a normal person, you have to be very cautious about everyone. When before there used to be a societal agreement that everyone knew what reality was and what facts were. And you could not have to worry about taking your kid to school because you didn't have to worry about the indoctrination or the belief system of that teacher because it's not a religious school, it's a public school. But now you do. You have to question everyone. You have to question, okay, maybe not everyone, but a good majority of society that you have to interact with, like teachers, school board members, doctors, gynecologists, all sorts of people. You really need to know what wavelength they're on in order to know if you can trust them, because a lot of the time you're putting your own health in their hands. So, are they reliable people to you? Well, you have to find out kind of what they believe in. And usually you can tell by the way that they talk and their questionnaires before you go to these doctors. You have to fill out a form. Sometimes the questionnaires are a little woke. So it just makes things way more difficult for people just because 1% of the population, when before they were never a problem and they existed, now they're hell on wheels. They just make things way more difficult for everyone. And so do their allies. And I'm not saying all of them, because not all of them are crazy as far as like the trans people go, but a vast majority of them are. If one small group of society and their allies are making it more difficult for everybody to be able to trust people in society, then maybe that group and their allies is a problem and we need to fix it. We need to come to some sort of agreement, or we just need to dull out their noise, because they're always going to be fighting for more and more and more until they're the ones on top and everyone else doesn't have any rights whatsoever, because that's what they want. So something needs to be fixed, although I'm not sure what. Because when it comes down to it, it's just crazy. We have two types of people in this world: ones that have a religious dogma or ideology, and ones that don't and believe in reality. Oh, maybe no, we have three types of people, because then we have ones that are mixed. So it makes people in society clash more with each other. And while we're fighting with each other, we're not seeing what else is going around that we need to be concerned about. So, yeah, I don't know. When this whole trans thing became so prominent in society and media, and people started adhering to their ideology, people became more concerned about a lot of things, especially women. We needed to be concerned about a lot of things, because these, in particular, men who say they're women, were getting privileges and stepping on the rights of others. All women, even if they don't, even if they agree with the gender ideology, their rights are still being infringed upon, and they just don't even see it because they're so captured. It's just crazy. Some people, they can just go on in society and just lie. They can just lie about saying he's a she. I don't know how. I mean, you would really have to train yourself to identify that man as a she, and to never slip and say he, because it's so ingrained within our brain that when we see a man, regardless of what he's wearing, we see a man. So you have to do a lot of mental training. And I mean, you don't really get, if you're in media, I would assume, especially because it's mainstream media, you would get social credit points. I'm sure you would get more opportunities. But just like regular people out here, I don't know why you would waste your time trying to train yourself to say that he is a she. I mean, when it comes down to it, I shouldn't have to, or normal people shouldn't have to, affirm the identity of someone. Like, just leave people alone. If you believe you are something, it shouldn't matter if other people believe it, because you know yourself so well. It shouldn't bother you. So when it does bother you, that means that there's something actually wrong with you, more than just believing that you're a woman. There's something way deeper that is disturbing and would make any normal woman very hesitant and concerned and slightly afraid. When it comes down to it, normal women, when they see a dude in a dress, it kind of does freak them out, if we're being honest. Some trans women, they pass very well and it doesn't concern us. And most of those guys like guys. So it's not really a concern. But the giant amount of straight men identifying as women, we all know that these guys, they never pass. They always look concerning. They automatically awaken a feeling inside women that is like a red flag. It's an alarm, and it makes us scared. We're like on watch all the time when they're in our presence. I think it just does so much more damage to society, especially since we're just saying that these guys are trans when they're just autogynephiles or cross dressers. It makes you worry not only for yourself but for like little girls and for other women who aren't very aware of what's going on, or women who aren't as vigilant as they should be. It makes you concerned. But still, we're just creating more problems that never need to be problems just to appease people that we shouldn't be appeasing because they're demanding. Not all of them, but vast majority. Vast majority. I don't know if we'll ever get back to sanity. Will we ever get back to it? Are we just going to be stuck always being on guard and having to fight these ridiculous fights all the time? I mean, reality is reality. Why are we fighting? It's just like it's another religion. Gender ideology is another religion. It's like a culty ideology. Why do we need to fight with these people? We know what is real and what is not. And really, they're the major group that are pushing for regular people in society to abide by their belief system. And I think that's fucked up. Anyway, like and subscribe, join our membership to keep this channel going. And I'll see you on the next one, everyone. Good luck.